Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged to welcome a very, very accomplished coach, guide, an author, and a podcast host from Seattle, USA, Mr. Gilad Karni. Gilad, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh, for inviting me and creating such an amazing platform on your side and giving me the opportunity to share space with you and share my work.
Thank you so much. Gilad is the founder of the Dream Team, and we'll talk about the Dream Team. He guides leaders and entrepreneurs to help them transcend limitations of their minds to become more inspiring leaders. He's a co-author of a book titled Winner's Mindset, and we'll talk about this. He's a former professional basketball player, and he's a fellow host of podcasts of a podcast with the name Success is the State of Being. Gilad, you seem to be doing so many amazing things together. So let's first start talking about your first avatar as a coach. What made you select coaching as a career?
Oh, that's a great question. And you know, it summarizes a lifelong journey.
Correct.
Many times. Later, I will take it later to the journey where I made the decision really. After my basketball career or towards the end of my basketball career, I asked myself two questions that asking them and finding the answers really changed my life and the trajectory of everything that I've done since then. And these two questions were, what am I already doing best? And how can I best serve humanity from now on in my life?
Right.
Because as athletes, as professional athletes, we have great experience. You know, people look up to us many times, and it seems very luxurious from outside. Though you finish your basketball career without much of business or professional experience to translate. So for me, I really wanted to find the answer to the two questions. What am I already doing best? I had decades of experience in leadership and being a teammate and in high-performing environments. So finding that answer to what am I already doing best and where now it can serve humanity, I can say that it was the best thing that I've done for myself, and where coaching became a possibility because I was always passionate to help people and be of service to other people and help others grow and was fascinated by human potential. So
that's
the
amazing.
Decision landed there, yeah.
And you know, your response gives me an interesting segue to my next question. That as a professional basketball player, what lessons did you learn that have helped you as a coach?
A few very important ones, I think. The importance of a team and putting team above yourself. The importance of trust. So there is many times we say we're willing to die for our teammates on the court.
Yeah.
But the more successful teams even are willing to live for one another off the court. So there's this combination of synergy within teams and individuals that really connect on a very deep level that create extraordinary teams. Phil Jackson was a master of it as an NBA coach to create a very strong bond within the teams. And the opportunities to do great things in a group that is dedicated to one thing. A lot in the world of solopreneurs right now, many people work with themselves without that support. So the ability to be among a team that try to accomplish great things together really creates possibilities for way greater accomplishments.
Amazing. So my next question to you is that, you know, as a professional basketball player who's brought a lot of learnings to becoming a coach, you also help entrepreneurs to transcend limitations of their minds to become more inspiring leaders. There are two parts of this. One is to transcend limitations of mind, and second is to become more inspiring leaders. Tell me about the tools you use to help people achieve these two objectives.
Nice. So in the last decade, I was fascinated and researched and studied many different approaches to human potential. As I shared with you before, I spent time in India and studied meditation and pranayama practices and yoga and philosophy. So I immersed myself a lot in the space of understanding consciousness and the nature of mind and reality. And to really live our potential, to really be the embodiment of it and live it every moment of our life, we need to discover something that's greater to the mind and discover and understand the limits of it. Some of these tools of how that is being applied is some self-inquiry practices, right? In a lot of spiritual traditions, we do self-inquiry practices to discover something that is greater to the mind.
Right.
At times it can be mindfulness, deep transformational coaching approach that I cultivate. So I have multiple tools that I tailor to the person on the process when it's right. And some of them come from coaching, some of them come from leadership, and some of them come from spiritual understanding.
Wonderful. So Gilad, for my young viewers and listeners, can you help us understand transcending limitations of their minds with an example? No names, of course.
Yeah. I go through with all of my clients about this understanding. What happens, I will say, when we transcend so-called the limitation of the mind, our life and our mind and our bodies is being washed with the experience of having no limits. No boundaries to oneself. We think that we are this very tiny living organism that's called a human being that is trapped within a mind and a body. Transcending the limit of that kind of perspective of oneself opens the experience of our life to really feel limitless, not be bound in this something that's very small. What happens when we realize that we are not limited to the mind and body is the experience all of us seek of joy, peace, and freedom. Many people go towards success, we call it, and achievements and materials in order to experience joy, peace, and freedom. The only way to ultimately experience it and live by it moment by moment is to go beyond, to transcend the perspective of the mind about who you essentially are. So the most common thing I hear from my clients when that happens is an amazing experience of freedom, of joy, of peace, of a potential that is not limited by anything.
Fascinating. And you also, when you work with leaders to make them more inspiring, what are some of the processes you follow, and how do you define an inspiring leader?
I never thought about how I define an inspiring leader, actually. I will define it from the perspective of the other people, right?
Correct.
We don't, to call ourselves inspiring leaders would be,
I agree.
would be an egoic thing. So it's from the perspective of other people that find not even as much what we do, but who we are to be inspiring. What I found that people find very inspiring in other people is people who live fully expressed, is people who hide and hold nothing back from who they are, is being very comfortable and courageous in being who they are, is pursuing and living their dream moment by moment. We spend, very few people very commit to their dreams. We commit to a mortgage over 30 years. We commit to our marriage. We commit to our kids. We don't say about any of these. If it doesn't happen in 6 months or 2 years, I give it away. But we say it about our dreams. So for me, inspiring people are people who commit to live fully expressed, to be themselves, to fulfill and live their dreams, is what I see as a guide. I also know it about myself because I've been very uncomfortable being myself for many years of my life. So I had to go through this process myself, and I wasn't expressed, and I held myself back for my power and my expression because of judgment and because of fear and because of self-doubt. So I know how it feels on myself as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm now going to move to another aspect of coaching, and this is now being talked all over the world, is the aspect of culture. You know, culture in a country, culture in an organization, culture of the individual in her or his society, family, etc. My question to you, Gilad, is how does culture impact coaching?
That's great, and it can impact from both the client's perspective and the coach's perspective, right? I think the first understanding of it is that many of us don't realize how many of our decisions, choices of our life, and how we live our life is impacted by our culture.
Correct.
We think that it's our own choice, and we don't realize how that impacts, and that leads us to a sense of not being authentic to myself or not being myself when I don't realize that my decisions are not mine. They actually come from some kind of cultural background, and that can be as a human being, as a client, and as a coach. I need to be aware of those biases in my own mind as well when I guide people, of course.
Very interesting. And one more question related to coaching, and then I will move to the other parts of our conversation. When you work with large established organizations, leaders in these, culture is well defined. How does a startup founder build culture?
Oh, that's a great question, and I think where many startups struggle, right?
Correct.
I have few guides that I follow myself and guide clients about leadership and culture. And one of them, I like to say it in this sentence, that leadership is to collect the most inspiring people you know and give them freedom to express themselves.
Okay.
What you do here on your platform, you invite the most inspiring people that you know, right? And you give us, the guests, freedom to express ourselves. That is something that is so often missed in the business world and also in the sports world. We do not invite only the most inspiring people we know. We lower the bar because of some a pressure of time or a need. So we lower the bar of the people that we bring together. And we also don't give them freedom to express themselves. And so as a startup, if you start from that place and the first group of people that you collect are not to that level, anything that you will do from there on will be limited and will be impacted by these decisions that weren't to the top of the potential that was possible for that organization. Like to start and build a house with foundations that are not the best, strongest, and more and best well match to one another, because it's not only talent in the team, it's to make sure the talent fits one another. There's multiple aspects to consider when building a team versus individual talent.
Very interesting. So I'm going to now ask you a question which I should have asked you in the beginning about the dream team, and I'm assuming your entire coaching business is a part of the dream team. But what was the motivation to name it the dream team? Basketball?
So yeah, I grew up, when I was a child, the dream team was all of the people that we look up to. Michael Jordan,
yeah,
and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. And so I grew up watching these people, and the dream team was something so magical for us to watch. And all of us, had a dream to be in a dream team at some point in our life. what I found very lacking for former pro athletes after their sports career is being surrounded with a powerful community with the same level of talent that they had in their sports career and a very supportive environment, which sports didn't always have. In sports, many times, it's not a supportive environment. So the Dream Team was a passion project for me to start, and it's a community and mastermind program that I run for former pro athletes and entrepreneurs on their journey to become the world most inspiring leaders. Because of that lack of team orientation that we have after our sports career. So I literally, as I say to young startups, bring leadership is to bring together the most inspiring people you know and give them freedom to express themselves. This is what I'm doing on the Dream Team.
Oh, amazing. And again, Gilad, based on your experience of working with so many, if I can use the term, former sports stars, what are some of the challenges they face in giving up, the peak of the sports recognition and get into doing something which is very different?
Yeah. Can you ask the question again?
So, you help a lot of sports people to start a new career after their sports career is over. What are some of the challenges they face in making this transition?
Yeah. On multiple levels, on the personal level, there is a process of a new identity that's coming in any transition, especially for athletes being immersed in sports that you are so defined by what you do.
Correct.
Second is there is a lot of sense of fear and self-doubt and judgment of suddenly doing something that's completely different and also seen without experience. So for a former athlete to start suddenly a business and that's around anything without having years of experience, that brings fear and self-doubt and at times even judgment from the world, because people can ask, who are you to do something like this without an experience? And third is having space to share it with the team. Where we are the average of the people we spend most time with, right? So bringing that kind of level of people together in a room and sharing ideas and resources and support is just doing that is enough, actually. Now add to that the businesses that they run, the support that they get. For me in this case, or for many professionals, really creates a space for miracles to occur or for dreams to come together, as the name of the program, Dream Team.
How wonderful. How wonderful. So I'm going to now move to your book. You're the co-author of a book titled The Winner's Mindset. For my viewers and listeners, Gilad, tell me, is this book available on Amazon and other platforms?
Yes, this book is available on all major platforms. Amazon would be the best way to do that.
Okay.
This book so we are a group of 34 elite athletes, coaches, and entrepreneurs. And it's an amazing book that was created by Eric Siversen, which I think you might know. And he invited this group of people, including me, to each of us write one chapter in this book about mindset, performance, and success. So I have one chapter in this book that I named my chapter Success is a State of Being, but it's a book that's packed with tools and ideas and knowledge from experts and very successful people in multiple fields, and an amazing project by Eric Siversen.
Amazing, amazing. And I've got time for a couple of more questions. Tell me a little bit about your podcast, Success is a State of Being.
Nice. So first, let me say why I chose the name. So the chapter in my book is called Success is a State of Being. My podcast is Success is a State of Being, and we ask about some of the transcending the mind. For me, this is one of these lines that really represent it. what I find myself struggling with, and many people that I work with, is this need to find success in the future creates a lot of struggle, a lot of stress, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. When I started to research success and explore what it means, and then what is this experience? What is the experience that we call success? I narrow it down to its most essential thing to better understand. And one of the discoveries is that it is only an experience. Success is only an experience. An experience can only happen in the present moment.
Correct.
So if I try to achieve success in the future, there is no chance it will work, because success can only be experienced in the present moment. So I term success as a state of being, because I see success as a moment by moment experience, not something to go and achieve, not something that I do not have and I need to go and gain, rather something that I need to establish every moment that I'm alive.
Fascinating.
A few words about the podcast, if I may, as you asked. So the podcast, I bring former athletes, entrepreneurs, business owners, and inspiring leaders for conversations with me about the intersection of business, leadership, and spirituality. I take it much deeper than many of the platforms that we don't have much time to go deep with people. So the conversation that I'm having, I'm trying to really allow space for these kind of people to share messages that they don't often have, not only around their business, but around who they are, sometimes their struggles, and some form of their spiritual connection or understanding, which varies a lot. And I love it, because I think one of the challenges that we have in the world is not having access for many people for spiritual understanding and diversity of approaches around spirituality. So I often ask them about their spiritual connection, what it means to them, and how that applies in their business and leadership. So people who listen can learn many different approaches to spirituality, many different definitions. So each person can live by their own definition of what spirituality is for them, outside of any context of religion or culture or anything, one person to themselves.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And Gilad, my last question to you, and this for the many, many young people who will listen to this conversation. After such an amazing life as a coach, as a professional basketball player, founder of the Dream Team, helping so many different people, author, podcast host, what would you say are 3 lessons you would want our viewers and listeners to take away from our conversation?
Commit to your dreams. So lesson number 1 is commit to your dreams. Because we've been taught to, again, commit for 30 years for a mortgage, commit to marriage, but make a commitment that for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life, you're committed to your dreams. It will take time, but nothing is not worth it enough not to do that and not to be fulfilled.
Correct.
Second is trust that all of us have this sense of inner knowing, of really knowing what's right for us, and to trust that as our compass is the best ability I think that any human being can have, because the world, sometimes our families, our friends, because of their care for us, trying to keep us safe. But we all of us have this sense of, I know inside me, I really know where I should go next. And to be able to listen to that place in you and to follow is a lifelong mastery. And third, that success is a state of being. Do not try to go and achieve it in the future. Do not add stress to your life, frustration to your life, because you think it's something that will happen one day. It's something to practice and live by every moment. Really, it's an experience that's happening every moment.
Oh, wonderful. Gilad, on that note, and your 3 incredible pieces of advice: commit to your dreams, trust your own compass, and success is a state of being. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you for talking to me about the Dream Team and how you're helping so many professional athletes. Thank you for talking to me about coaching and some of your deep thoughts about how to, get people to transcend limitations of their own minds and become more inspiring leaders. Thank you for talking to me about your book, The Winner's Mindset, and your podcast, Success is the State of Being. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh, and keep doing the great job that you do. And I really appreciate you inviting me over.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.